Ladies and gentlemen, we might have finally just gotten our first real-world look at the upcoming Galaxy Z Fold 7, and while it's just one image of the back of the device, I think that we can still glean some pretty interesting information. So let's turn our attention to this post on Weibo. You may actually see this image floating around. I'm seeing it being reposted, but I was able to track down the origin of this post. Now let's go ahead and translate this into English, and you can see digital in an instant. Probably not exactly what that name is going to translate to. Let's see if we can do a little bit better, actually. This thinks his name is Setsuna Digital. I don't know exactly what your name would be in English. I apologize for probably butchering it to some degree, but they posted this Galaxy Z Flip 7 and Z Fold 7. You have this here that is a screen protector, I believe, for the Galaxy Z Flip 7, but we don't care about that. We're going to go over to this image here, which is apparently the back of the Galaxy Z Fold 7. And this does look really similar to the renders that we actually had months back. If we pull up this render, obviously it's sort of catty-cornered a little bit, so you can't really tell the width exactly, but you can see the camera bump, the distance up here looks the same, the little LED flash, all of that stuff does look to be in the correct position. And I think that if you compare this to my Galaxy Z Fold 6, you can see some differences pretty quickly. For one, that LED flash is definitely in a different position, but I think even from this image here, you can kind of tell that this device is going to be a little bit thicker, a little bit wider, I should say, wider, not thicker, wider than the Galaxy Z Fold 6. Now, you guys may have seen a video that I posted just a couple of days ago where I tried to make a little 3D print dummy of what the cover display, the folded dimensions of the Galaxy Z Fold 7 would be. Now, we have the height, and we think we have that thickness kind of worked out, the thickness when it's closed, plus the thickness of those bezels, which are about 0.5 millimeter, gets us to about 9 millimeters thick when closed. But that width is kind of difficult to ascertain. You would think that you would just take the rumored width when it's open and have it, but that's not usually true. With the special edition, it was about 48%. Was the reduction rather than being a full 50%. So we kind of have to figure out exactly what's going on. And I kind of did a guesstimate. I used the same ratio as the special edition. Now, all we have here is obviously an image, but I figured I could try and kind of figure this out a little bit. So what I did is I took a picture of my S25 Ultra, and then I put both of these images into an image editor. I scaled the S25 Ultra up to a reasonable size, and then I used this little pixel measuring tool, and I measured the size of this device. Then I went and I grabbed the known height of the S25 Ultra and the rumored height of the Galaxy Z Fold 7, and I found, once again, that ratio, and then I tried to scale this until it was the same ratio. I think it was something a little bit over 2% shorter than the S25 Ultra, and this is what I came up with. Let's actually zoom this in so that you guys can see it a little bit better. Again, we're doing some fuzzy math. We're doing the best that we can here, but this is what I came up with. And what I can do is I can actually overlay this S25 Ultra on top of this photo of the Z Fold 7, and we'll kind of just lower the opacity, and you can see kind of what we're looking at here. Where the Z Fold 7 is definitely a little bit more narrow and definitely a little bit shorter than. Now, obviously, one problem is that they're not holding it exactly perfectly straight on. It's a little bit tilted to the right, and that does throw things off. I got my phone pretty much flat, but that does throw things off a little bit. And now if I take my dummy and I try to kind of line these things up again, we can look and see how close was I? Well, obviously we said it was only going to be a little over 2% shorter. I think that we're pretty close. And then in terms of that width, if you line these things up, if I line them up on that left edge, which is what I was trying to do in that image editor, you can see that it does stick out just a little bit. So we know that it's a little bit shorter and it's just a little bit wider. I think I'm pretty close to what the reality is actually going to be. So obviously we're never going to get this exactly one-to-one, and look, I never really advertised that as being this is one-to-one perfect. I told you guys we were doing some fuzzy math. I think it's relatively close. I actually think it's going to end up being pretty close. I'll probably have that Z Fold 7 pretty shortly after it launches, and we'll measure it and we'll see exactly how close I actually got with my guesstimation. But using this image I think that that mostly validates those earlier videos. So if you want to check them out where I compared this, and actually I have another dummy of it opened up, I compared it to lots of folding devices, I compared it to the S25 Ultra. I'll put links to those videos in the description down below. But regardless, guys, I do think that is our first real look at the Galaxy Z Fold 7, and it does, to me, look like a device that is headed in the right direction. It finally is much more similar to a normal phone. It's not extra skinny like it has been pretty much literally the entire time. This kind of looks like a baby S25 Ultra that opens up, and that's what we have been wanting for a long time. Of course, there's some cameras missing that we would like to have that would make this truly an S25 Ultra that opens up. But in terms of dimensions, I think that that's pretty much what we are looking at. Guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.